Hey guys, welcome back to Tower of God New World. In today's video, I want to go through my top 5 support units. Now, we are going to go through more than 5 units in this video because we will give some honorable mentions because there are a fair few good supports in the game and I just wanted to cover them. Now, there are a bunch of other units that have very niche uses, which I might do a whole video going over them because there's a lot of useful units at one copy that you can get a real tech usage out of that could help you in certain stages if you are stuck. But let's go through, first of all, the honorable mentions. The first two I want to go through are the lower rarity characters, being Grey being the first one. Basically, the main thing is this sphere. You can basically set yourself up to have a 4v5 for the first 7 or 8 seconds of battle. If you've got a low ascension, it could be 6 or 5 seconds, but it's just a really valuable thing. I use her a ton. She's also yellow, which yellow is very meta at this stage. And the other one is going to be Yeo or Goseng. I don't really know how to say her name, but she's there just as a buffing unit to buff your main damage dealer, your main carry. She can also reduce the swiftness of enemies, which is something else that is handy, but in general, it's more about buffing your main carry. And on that topic of buffing your main carry is another unit that has a better buff, but she is a bit more tech because she is a red unit. I use her with my Hua, which works quite well, but she has a very similar thing where she's going to increase the attack and attack speed of your ally, but she is harder to do buff, but she does have a good, better base value. So that's where she's at. Yellow kind of frustrates me because her name's Yellow, she wears yellow and she's red. If she's yellow, she would have been more meta, but hey, I still like my Hua usage with her. Moving on from that, I wanted to mention Rock, or I just call him Gator, it's easier because I can never pronounce R-A-K properly because it's the Australian accent, I guess. But this dude's really strong, but he does require dupes. So the problem with him is he requires dupes. And you'll notice that when I look at the rest of the characters on this list, I'm basing them off of not having dupes. I think it could change once we get to the end game and we've got 20 characters maxed out. Then obviously more of characters like him will perform better. But at this stage, he just lacks the sustainability, but he can be very disruptive in certain stages. And the last one I wanted to mention was in Dorsey. At a single copy, you can still cheese when she groups the entire enemy team up at the start of battle, which if you need that in your team, often if you're running like a Rachel carry, I've seen it, Evan Kell carries, you can just group the whole enemy team and then just absolutely slaughter them. So she does have a fantastic use. But with those honorable mentions out of the way, let's get into my top 5. Now, number 3, 4, and 5, you can put in any order. I've just given them an order, but I think 3, 4, and 5 can be shuffled up any way you want. The first one is going to be a Khun. Now, he is absolutely amazing. You've got AoE stuns, you've got shielding, so defensive play for your allies. You've got obviously the fact that he can increase the attack of all purple allies. He's just a really strong all-round unit that just has really strong viability across the board. Like, you always find a use for him, especially if you're running purple teams. The one thing is, I think for the early game, yellow is more of the meta, but if you're running that purple core, he is absolutely a must-have and absolutely fantastic unit. Moving on from that, we go into number 4. Once again, 3, 4, and 5 can be shuffled around, but I'm putting Nurey there. Now, she is an absolute monster in my mind. She's one of those ones, I can't wait to test her 30 exclusive equipment, but this is way down the road. I am not prioritizing this at all at this stage, but you do get some invincibility, which I think could be super clutch after she uses her ultimate. But essentially what she does, she's a battery for your main carry, giving them a ton of energy. This ability here is going to be an energy steal, which is really nice. Stealing energy is always a great thing. We got a defense decrease, and this one is going to give you some mitigation on your lowest health ally. I think, and just the fact that every time she uses a skill, she's going to grant that extra energy. It makes her just like a turbocharged battery, and I think she's a fantastic all-round support across the board. Also, with Khun and Nurey, the great thing about them is they're both ranged characters, so you don't have to worry about their survival. Moving on from that, we go into my number 3. Once again, could be shuffled around, but that is going to be Hua. Now, Hua for me, I'm building her up as a carry, but I also used her at a 3+X deficit for about 2 chapters as a single copy of her. She is a bit tricky. The great thing about her is she does start back. She marks a target that you're going to focus, and she stands back for that. So I often can make her avoid damage until she gets her path up and then uses her ult. So what she does is when you mark the enemy, allies that attack that enemy are going to have increased attack and crit rate against them. And when you defeat that enemy, your whole team's going to get a good chunk of energy. On top of that, when she does this one, she puts the path, forces all allies to attack that enemy, so you're more likely to kill them and get that energy boost, but it also increases the swiftness of all allies doing it. Then she's got this one, which is going to decrease, deal damage and reduce the enemy's swiftness, but it's also going to stun the target enemy that she is focused on. And then her ult basically does everything. It does big damage, it gives an attack buff, it gives a swiftness buff to allies, and it also gives them a big chunky shield. I just think she's amazing. The only tricky thing with her is making her survive, but when you do, she can be incredibly valuable for snowballing an entire fight, because she just makes you target the enemy that you want to kill. Everyone kills it, then you target a new one, you get all your energy, and you just snowball the fight super hard. So she's fantastic, but she is also a carry option, which I absolutely love. I am building her as my second carry currently, and I think she's just a very versatile unit across the board. Number 2, gonna be Bomb. This guy is just... he's just like the epitome of early game, and I think he just gets better in the late game. When you can literally just... where is it? This one. When you literally at the start of battle, you just increase your highest attack ally, but you give them a 60, like this is level 360, it goes up to 80%, but giving them like once he gets maxed out. But once again, if you only have, if you don't have the copies of him, as you can see, mine's is at 1 blue star. But if you don't have any dupes on him, this is still going to be a 40% buff to their attack and defense until the end of battle. In a stage in the early game when everything is about having a hyper carry unit that's leveled above the rest of your units, it's just like it adds more value because that unit is already the focus. So you only really need to buff that one unit. It also gives them some energy, but all around, he's honestly got some decent others. Like the rest of his kit's not bad, but like this is what absolutely makes him. This stun can come in handy as well, but this, he gives energy to allies nearby him, which isn't always going to be where your carry is, but this thing here is it's just too good to pass up. And the fact that he is yellow means he synergizes with where the early game meta is at the moment. Then we jump into number 1, and I don't think there's going to be any surprises. Mine is stripped at the moment because I've been working on 2-stage battle, but that is going to be Evan. This guy is just a beast. His ultimate is just so huge. This vortex thing is just, honestly, this is better than it sounds. He recovers energy, it hits an enemy and knocks them back, but the timing of this skill interrupts so many things in the game. It is like the best timed skill I've seen, and the knockback can interrupt and disrupt so many enemies. I love him being on the front row on a side and just interrupting one enemy and screwing them over. Plus he has his own sort of survivability where he'll go invisible himself. He makes your main carry invisible at the start of battle so that they can get in there and avoid the aggro, so that your tanks can take the aggro. And then obviously when he gets towards his ult, he's making your whole team invincible, and when you're at a deficit, you're getting so hard, and all that damage that you would have taken then heals you, and pretty much everyone gets topped up at the end of his ultimate. So this guy is just an absolute monster. He's an SSR plus for a reason. The great thing is you don't need dupes for him to be strong. He is just an absolutely cracked unit, and that is my list of top 5 supports in the game currently based on my experience. Once again, this is not 100% right. This is from my experience. Please let me know your experience in the comments. I always love seeing different things, and sometimes I see cool suggestions and I test them out, and I absolutely love them. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.